No.
Welcome to Brantim Live. I'm your co-host, Brandon E. Brooks.
And I'm Tim Milliken, happy as ever.
Thanks for sharing, everybody that's watching. Please share this feed. We have another amazing guest tonight that will be joining us this July 25th through the 28th at the Atlantic City Celebrity Convention. I'm going to let Tim do some housekeeping about that right now, and before we introduce the guest.
Yeah, a couple things that we haven't been really talking about in the last episodes is that we're definitely still looking for some tattoo artists to join our tattoo alley. So any local tattoo artists or anybody willing to travel even want to come down and rent a space and do some tattoos at the Celebrity Con. That'd be cool. We're also still looking for vendors. We're also still looking for some sponsors in our program, et cetera, et cetera. So feel free to reach out on social media or info@brantiment.com. But definitely, head over to the website and pick up some tickets. There's plenty of, different choices. There's the weekend passes, which I have to mention real quick, until May 15th. So that's Wednesday. We have a little deal going on where anybody who purchases at least 2 weekend passes until May 15th enters you into winning 2 Ultimate VIP passes. So we'll be announcing that on our May 16th show. And we'll be doing the raffle live on this then. And what else? So brantim.realms.tv. That's the website to go to get all your information about the pro photo ops. And remember, you need a ticket to get into the event to be able to, what's the word? Use your get your pro photo op, right? So don't just buy the pro photo ops. You got to buy tickets to get in too. I don't know if there's anything else I'm missing at the moment, but I'm really excited about this guest. So let's get into this, Brandon.
Awesome. So my guest tonight is I've known for a long time. I've had respect for many, many decades. He's been one of my all-time favorite cult classic films, Rad, that we'll get into a little bit later. This gentleman here, I've had the pleasure of working with on a film many years ago, and actually getting to spend some time with him. He's a really cool cat and very down to earth. And you guys are going to get to know a little bit about him tonight. There he is looking cool as like cowboy hat right there. And so without further ado, welcome to Brantim Live, the great Bill Allen.
How's it going?
Hey, Bill. Thanks for joining us, man. Awesome. Appreciate it, man. So, Bill, I've done this with you once before, but we have a kind of a new audience here. We're spreading out to all the people that are involved in supporting the Atlantic City not Film Festival, Atlantic City Celebrity Convention that we're putting together. So I want to just start this out by asking you, just give a little bit about how you got started in this crazy biz as an actor.
Oh, I mean, professionally, I did my first movie 42 years ago, where it was basically, if you saw Rad, it was like Rad on horseback. So I played a jockey on it, win the race, kiss the girl, yada, yada. But it was remarkable in my life because it was the first time, not only was I ever on a film set, but I was the lead on this film. And it also featured a young George Clooney. So we became fast friends during that shoot. His cousin, cool. Miguel Ferrer, who you'd know from RoboCop and NCIS and a billion other things. So Miguel was George's cousin. We're working on this horse movie. He calls cousin George, who's living in Cincinnati at the time, to come visit us on set in Lexington, Kentucky, which is where we were filming this horse racing movie. Young George comes down. He was fresh out of business school, I'm pretty sure. And that is what got both of us involved in the movie business in particular. And then through Miguel, we both came out and lived at Miguel's mother's house, a very famous pop star of the 50s, Rosemary Clooney, White Christmas. She was a very big pop star. Wow. This was Miguel's mother. So I was invited as a teenager still to come to Beverly Hills and live in Rosemary Clooney's guest house. I mean, it was just, you'd walk outside and there were the vans with the Star tour vans out front, and I'm in a neighborhood that I'd read about my whole life, and now I just kind of been plunked down into the middle of it. And George was soon on my heels, and he stayed in that very same guest house also afterwards. I guess it had some sort of lucky charm about it. So that was my first entree into Los Angeles, and that's how I got into show business in particular. But I had a SAG card. I had some money in my pocket. I had an acting coach and an agent when I hit town. If I didn't make something from that, that was my bad. So I took advantage of all of that the best I could, and continued my academic training, I guess you would call it, in acting. I stayed active with Lou Diamond Phillips, who remains a good friend. We were involved in an acting studio with Adam Rourke, who you can look up on IMDb. He had a great career. And we ended up at AFI teaching film acting for a time up at the American Film Institute. Nobody knows about that. Nobody cares, but it's something that I kind of, it's in my satchel of magic tricks. I was part of a kind of elite film actors group for a number of years, and we helped launch some really great careers out of that group. So I'm really proud of it.
Awesome.
So I noticed the guitar. So tell me about your love of music. I mean, Brandon's told me a bit, but tell our audience more about your love for music.
Well, I did a play in the I want to say about 1988 for John Lee Hancock, for the founder, I guess, and What the Blind Side. He's a big director. He directed myself and Brandon Lee and my brother in a play about musicians out here. We were doing small theater out here on Little Santa Monica Boulevard in Hollywood. And the play was about a band. And after the show closed, the band stayed together. And that included myself, my brother, and a guy named Christopher Lindsay, who went on to Nashville. He works with, who's that chick? Taylor Swift. Anyway, he's worked with some really he's worked with some really big names out there, and so Lou became a part of our band, and we ended up touring. We did a stadium tour with Bill. There we go. Yeah, we did a stadium tour with Billy Ray Cyrus, and we played Farm Aid. We played dozens of states, and we did a lot of live television and some crazy wild gigs. Lou was very famous at the time, and we had a really great band. So I kind of had to get up to speed. I played harmonica mostly then. And then during the pandemic, I'm like, well, now what do I do?
There you go.
So this is, really, that's what I decided to do with my pandemic time off, is concentrate on something that I wanted to do my whole life. And now I had zero excuses. And then people started giving me guitars. My brother, friends, Steve Lukather from Toto, he just gave me.
Yeah, dude. Wow.
So somebody's trying to tell me something. So that I've kind of taken a big hint. And
are you working with anybody right now? Are you playing around with anybody, or are you jam with anybody?
I just finished a music festival out here in Orange County a couple of months ago, Cars and Guitars, at what used to be the old Fender Instrument Music Factory. So we're doing that annually. And now I'm doing some video projects remotely where people can just add their parts in their own home, and then we mix it online and put it out there. I think that's what a lot of people are doing. I don't know. Yeah. That's what I'm spending a lot of time watching on YouTube, is people actually building tracks. And you see, it's just so much more interesting than just hearing a track. Now you get to see the musicians and see what they're doing. So I'm kind of leaning in that direction. Yeah, it seems fun to me.
Awesome, man.
Awesome, Bill. So I just wanted to speak a little bit about a man that I know was lost to all of us, to this world, and you spoke just a little bit about him. This picture here I found, it's a great photo of the two of you. Tell us a little bit about what Brandon meant to you, and a little bit about how you guys met, and what your journey was up until he was lost to this world.
Yeah, I met Brandon in his Hollywood years in I want to say 88, something along those lines. Again, Miguel Ferrer, mutual friend. They had done Kung Fu, the Next Generation, I think it was a TV pilot. And so Miguel introduced me to Brandon. Brandon thought I was Matthew Broderick at the time. he was kind of blind, and I looked like Matthew Broderick at the time. So we ended up in the same acting class over in Beverly Hills at the Beverly Hills Playhouse. And oh man, that's a great shot. That's just, that captures Brandon perfectly. He was just that guy, almost 24/7. As soon as he jumped out of bed, he was just crackling with energy. And we got to spend a lot of time together and go to Europe and New York and Texas and Arizona and all over California, Washington, so many places in Hollywood. We were roommates for a number of years, or a year, I would say, during that time. So we started this theater company. That was his hearse that he drove.
The hearse, yes, the hearse.
When I first met him, his only ride was a '59 Cadillac hearse and a Harley Davidson. So he was just that guy. And he wasn't trying to be weird. He was just different and really marching to his own beat. And so we kind of recognized each other from across the room as having a wild hair. And we kind of stoked the fire in each other's world as far as artistic sensibilities, and just seeing what we could get away with as young adults and not get arrested, not go too out far. And of course, he had a saying that he knows, I know where the balance is because I can see it as I swing past it. So there's always just kind of going way out on the edge and hopefully coming back to the center and seeing that balance point. But yeah, fun, vivacious, and at the beginning and end of his ride, all at once, and he seemed to be aware of that and just lived life to its fullest because of that awareness, and it was infectious. People around him felt that energy and fed off it. I sure did.
Awesome. And I didn't know that it started with him thinking you were Ferris Bueller, which is great. So the iconic character Crew Jones is one that's near and dear to your heart, that you've lived decades, like obviously with the Rad Army and everybody that every fan of yours that's out there. Tell us some highlights from this. Did you know at that time that Crew Jones would become this iconic character that decades later would be on Fathom screens and new audiences today would be finding this movie and loving this movie? I have younger generations, nephews, and like 10, 12-year-olds that I'm showing this movie to, and they're captivated by it. Did you have any clue then, when you and Bart Connor and Lori Loughlin were all doing this, that this movie would become what it became?
I mean, you can't look decades down the line and decide what people are going to be paying attention to so far down the line. But I sure knew at the time it was a game changer. We were on set with Hal Needham. I'm looking at Hell Track. I'm looking at Jose Inez doing a backflip. Nobody had seen a backflip before. And all these freestyle riders. And I was out in LA, part of pop culture at the time, but I was unaware of what these basically kids were doing on these bikes in skate parks and on BMX tracks all over the world. So Hal kind of put that all together and then blew it up with Hell Track, put in the big drop wall and all the whoop-de-doos and all the crazy aspect of it. He just knew how to make a movie a spectacle. And so that was his gift, beyond being able to switch stunt doubles and make that pretty seamless. I figured that this was a game changer and that people had never seen anything like this, and it was going to kick things into high gear. It took a while for home video. It took like 6 months for it to actually find its audience. But I think it's kind of a fallacy that it was a flop, because while initially it didn't make a lot of money at the box office, it sure made a lot of money on video, and certainly on video on demand and the re-release. So I think we can let the fact or the belief that it's a cult movie that didn't make money, well, I think we can let those fallacies go. Absolutely. It's a well-known movie that's part of the fabric of the 80s, and most likely made more than its money back. So sometimes these things take a bit of time.
Yeah.
Now, did you enjoy the soundtrack as much as, or were you tired of hearing "Send Me an Angel" or all these? I love, like, I still hear that when I'm riding along on different radio stations. But
Yeah,
yeah.
it gets in your head and won't go away. That's for sure, and that's the mark of a hit song. I mean, at
There
the
you
time
are,
when
in
at
the
the
gym.
time when we were shooting the bicycle boogie sequence, the track that we were actually listening to was "White Wedding," the
Really?
Billy Idol movie, or the
Wow.
Billy
No
Idol
kidding.
song.
Billy
So big
Idol.
yeah, I just don't
Yeah.
think they could pay for the licensing, so they went with
Oh,
"Send Me an
wow.
Angel," and they
Oh.
made that song iconic. And
Yeah.
so, but yeah, to this day, I mean, I was born in 1962. I was already like a aged hippie by that time. You know, Hollywood can do some magic, but I didn't really understand the synthesizer and the whole manufactured. It's all manufactured, but it just sounds so kind of canned to me. Now it's fun to listen to. It's kitschy, and it's just it's fun pop music, you know.
So were you a bike rider before, or did you have to go through a crash course learning to do the BMX?
I mean, no and no. I was not I'm not allowed to ride bikes growing up, and when I got cast in the movie, it was within a month probably that I got cast in the movie, and then got shuttled up to Canada. So I had no time to work on any sort of bicycle chops or whatsoever, nor was I asked to, which is amazing to me.
Really?
Yeah, because
Wow.
Hal was so adept at doing stunt doubles and had a half a dozen stunt doubles for me that it was just going to be like, does he even ride a bike? Who cares? I mean, in the audition, I sat on a bicycle. He never asked me, could I ride that bicycle? Can I do a trick? None of that. It's just like, do I look like I can fit on that bike and read lines? Because that's what I was there for. As soon as I put on the helmet, you know, then I could go crash out in my trailer, and then they bring the real talent on. And that, you know, let's face it, that's what made the movie is these guys that were doing next level tricks that were unheard of until that time. Many of the tricks were invented by the guys you see on screen doing them.
So you learned a lot of this stuff like here, like later on, like
Much
as you
later,
went through the process. Okay. Gotcha. I was like, so I know you do now, but yeah.
Yeah. I spent some time with the great Martin Aparicio and learned some freestyle tricks out in Huntington Beach, and even did a freestyle show in Little Rock, Arkansas. And it was just Martin and myself. Now, when I say that, it's like saying, well, you know, there was Baryshnikov, and then Pee Wee Herman came out and did the Pee Wee Herman dance. You know, it's just similar to that. But there was a night that I did a freestyle show with Martin Aparicio. It was just me and him. And so we had worked on these tricks for a long time, and I got to display them for however many people that were there. But again, that's just one thing that I did that I can go, hey, I did that. You know, Martin, how many people get to say, oh, they performed with Martin, just him and me, you know, and did I deserve to be there? Heck no. He's just a friend who loves me, you know, and really promotes what I do and what I get behind. So yeah, he's one of the good ones.
So Rad it's a cult classic that's made its money, and it continues to make money because obviously we saw that it just had a re-release, you know, through Fathom in theaters, and it did very, very well. We were noticing ourselves that, you know, tell us more about this Rad Army, because like we were noticing that when we were making posts about when we first heard about the Fathom event, we're like, hey, everybody, Bill Allen's going to be at our con, you know, check out, you know, and support this film, you know, in the theaters. And sure enough, there was dozens and dozens. Then all of a sudden, these Facebook groups start popping out, you know, the Rad Army, this, Rad that. And like, whoa, there's a ton of people. So tell us more about the Rad Army.
Well, we are planning a silent and peaceful coup to put BMX bikes not in every house, but under every house. No, dude, it's just a name, you know. Thank you. Yeah. It means absolutely nothing. It was the name I gave to the fans, basically, because they deserve kind of their own faction, and that was my way of recognizing them. And yeah,
Cool.
I've sold a few T-shirts with the name on it, and it's representative of how the family feels. It feels like we're in this together. You know, we're not winning wars, we're winning hearts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So your book, that's another thing you've had for a while. Like, tell us, is that what did you just get to a point where you wanted to chronicle your journey through that? And is that where the book transpired from?
It was basically to get my wife off my back. She's a she's a writer also and an editor, and she had been after me for years to write a book and get all these stories out. And I resisted for a long time, and then I did it. I took about 6 months. There it is, and I just dug deep and decided, well, what do I want to read as a reader? I want to hear the best stories that I've got to give, and I dug a little deeper than I thought maybe I should have later on. But it turned out to be popular with the fans, and then a New York publisher got a hold of it and put it out in hardback. So it's just kind of been a perennial favorite. I tried to keep it light and funny and give some behind the scenes stuff with Rad. But since Rad kind of wasn't worthy of a whole book, I mean, from what I could remember, I decided to kind of put more of my career in there and what the kind of crazy characters I've come to know and work with. I mentioned George Clooney earlier. I'm thinking Brad Pitt was a friend before he was Brad Pitt. I knew Tom Cruise after he was already, Tom Cruise. But there are certain people that you run across, and then they blow up in ways that nobody could have expected. And then you're left wondering, what do they have in common? What do these three, let's say Tom, George, and Brad, what do they have in common? I know these guys. I've worked with them. I've been to their homes. What is the common thread? For me, it at the end of the day is a refusal to do anything else but follow their passion. Period. And if you're willing to do that, if you're willing to sleep under a bridge, or in George's case, he slept in a friend's closet. I don't know if many people know.
No, we heard about that one. Yeah,
I heard his closet for all. I never had to live in a guy's closet, and so he was that guy. And so, if you're able to put that much of your own capital, your own chips, let's say, on the table, and have no plan B, Brad's production company is plan B. He had no plan B. So that creates its own momentum. And I've just seen it close up where it is undeniable. Somebody with that kind of passion and ability, there's some God-given ability there, and a recognition that they've got something that they can bring to the table. But I'm guessing Danny DeVito had that kind of moxie too. And what did he look at like in the mirror? So it's not all about being 6 foot tall and looking like Brandon Lee. It's having some sort of understanding that you can do this too. And if you're willing to put it all on the line, man, doors are gonna fly open for you. And I've seen it not once in a while, every time.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's all.
Now, before Brandon gets into more of your projects, I just really wanted to know, because I don't know this answer. So I know you've done plenty of events, but have you done any conventions before? Like actual multi or like Comic Cons or genre cons or anything like that?
Yeah. I was in Denver last year for one. I don't do a lot of autograph conventions per se. I tend to stay with my own crowd and do rad screenings, BMX events, that kind of thing. Alamo Draft House.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean,
man, I'm so lucky. I'm just so lucky that it's got its own kind of brand that people respond to and come out for. Yeah.
That's awesome. Awesome. All right. So I'm going to do this thing that I change it up every episode, but I'm going to flash some photos on screen of things that you've been involved in, and just give us a few words that come to mind when you see the shot that pops up.
Okay.
All right. So this first one here is a little bit blurry, but it's the best I could find, but it could be a good story. There we go.
Oh, hey now. Yeah, the great Michael J. Fox. I hope.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's Michael. What was the name of that episode? It was a blind date. He set me up for a date with his sister, and that bit happens. And a friend of mine called me recently. He caught it on TV, and he was all shocked that he just happened to see that. But that scene where I'm dancing with Michael Fox. It brings the entire club to a halt, and they turn around and stare at Michael Fox. Well, this joke would not fly today, dude. It's just like, there's some things that we could make fun of back in the day. Can't make fun of them anymore. Maybe they're not funny. Maybe they were in context, but I'm surprised they still play that episode. In the opening of Rad, there's the butt pinch, right?
Yeah.
Not everybody digs that, dude.
No.
I mean, you watch Hal Needham's movie. Oh my gosh.
There's another one. Sorry, it was a little premature.
Fulham County, yeah.
Yes, I've seen this. Yes, and that's where I got it from. That screenshot.
Right. I think you can find that on Netflix. That was with Ken Olin and Ron Perlman, and a young Brad Pitt. We played.
Bullies.
A clique of bullies that kill an Amish baby, like you do on a Saturday night. But I just remember we were on location in North Carolina, and the big star on the set was Ron Perlman because of Beauty and the Beast. So we would have locals. We had the locals showing up on the set, going, "Where's the Beast? We want to see the Beast." Yeah, everybody's looking for the Beast.
All right, now this outfit here, there has to be a story. I was telling Tim before the show because it's outstanding. Here we go.
Oh,
bam!
Wow! Boo!
It looks like the Grand Ole Opry. It looks like the Statler brothers there.
Darn near. It was Nashville Now, back in the I want to say early '90s, late '80s. It was a big television show out of Nashville, obviously Music City, and they would have the pipe fitters come on. And man, we were in some deep water there. The studio players that are the house band, they're all just top drawer Nashville throat cutters, man. And we're just these hooky-doo kids from Texas just trying to listen to my harmonica, guys. You're going to be really impressed. Anyway, we did the show half a dozen times, and Lou hosted one time, and I had a lot of fun doing some live music shows, and that'll keep you on your toes.
Awesome. Now this might have happened on the day of the water slide, but tell us a little bit about this picture here.
No doubt. Yeah, that was the one and only day we were out there dressed like that. And you can see how shapely we are because we got like 3 layers of clothes and a wetsuit underneath that stylish wardrobe. So that's why we're dressed all baggy. And so they had us sliding into what is essentially melted snow. So the wetsuits didn't do anything except keep you wet as long as you had them on there. But I don't remember much from that day except God was it cold. And so Hal mercifully shot it from 2 different angles, so we only had to do it once. He did have Martin go down at first, and he said, "Hey, listen, Martin, make it look fun, like you're having a great time, because we don't want to scare the actors." All right. I wasn't scared much anyway.
All right, so tell us about this here. What is Heroes of Dirt?
Heroes of Dirt, I want to say it's about 10 years old. Yep. It was a movie I did out of Allentown, Pennsylvania with the Bugbees, Eric and Jill, and they're hardcore Rad fans from way back. Pennsylvania has a huge kind of like underground BMX community where they'll go out into the woods and dig these BMX trails. I don't know if you guys are aware of this culture, probably are.
Yeah.
But they're all over the country. Yep. And you got to know somebody who knows somebody and they'll take you back there. And every time there's a troll, some dude who lives there. He doesn't get out to civilization much. People must bring him buckets of KFC, and they command these tracks, and what they say goes. And if they don't like you, you're out of there, dude. And it's a real kind of very stratified subculture that you work your way up. But the way you work your way up is shoveling, getting out there and help these guys build these tracks, and they get plowed over all the time. I actually did a documentary about this very thing. Chris Iman produced it. Maybe we'll get a link to it, but it's about this very subculture about these guys who go out and dig these tracks. Yeah. It's pretty interesting.
Awesome. Yeah. You guys can watch that. It's on Tubi right now. I actually just watched it a couple months ago. It's a good watch. Heroes of Dirt. And the final one I have here is another underrated movie that I spread to people all the time. I even told Tim about it probably a couple of years ago. This is a very impactful scene that you're in with another great actor. Here we go. Bam.
Oh my goodness. Wow. That's some acting there.
Yeah. Very powerful.
It just so happens that we signed him tonight, so he'll also be attending the Atlantic City Celebrity Convention. We'll be announcing it a little bit later this evening.
Wow, lovely guy, man, lovely guy, and a great scene partner. It was in a movie called the Fugitive, the Felon.
Great, different. Yeah, great story with Steven Dorff, and it's a fantastic film. Yeah,
it's a hair-raising story about based on true stories about these guards at San Quentin would put opposing gang members into the yard and bet on them anyway. So I played a guy, a drunk driver who knocks over this cop's kid, kills him, kills the kid. And so anyway, I have a meeting with Michael Perrineau in the hospital, and it was just, he's fantastic. It's just when you walk onto the set and your scene partner is just like solid as they come. You can just relax. You can just relax and do your work. It's not like they're going to make you look worse. You're going to come up to their level if you got any game at all.
Yeah, we should see if we can get that photo opportunity with.
You too. Yeah, don't remember me. We had a good day. Yeah,
that's gonna be awesome. So Bill, it's obvious you love your fans because you go to all these different events all over the world. Yes, rad themed, but tell us a little bit about how that feels. I mean, again, this is a long journey for you. You've had a long career in music and in film, but tell us how you feel when you go to these events and people come up to you and they love you as crew, or they just love you as Bill Allen, the actor, and they want your autograph on My Rad Career and whatever, on bicycles or guitars or whatever.
It's overwhelming. I mean, I've seen people drive hundreds, if not thousands of miles with the whole family and the rad t-shirts and the bikes and the DVDs and the CDs and the posters and the kids name Rad. There's another convention I was at. So they're just so endearing. And I always say it's like Tom Hanks in Big. I get to see these full-grown men just turn into little boys right in front of me, and they got to tell me about their first bike and mowing the lawns for however long it took. And it's such a joy for them, and it takes them right back to that specific time in their lives. And then they get to tell me about it. And it's just, I love it. It's not tiresome for me. I can't sign enough autographs. I've never gotten to that point yet. And the folks are just so genuinely happy. The best reaction is when they're not expecting to see me at Whittier BMX or wherever I happen to be at, and they just stumble upon me. It's a reaction that keeps me coming back. And the kids, unfortunately, they don't understand the aging process. So instead of seeing Crew Jones, they meet Mr. Timmer. That can be a big letdown.
But hey, man, like I said, you're an icon. This right here is also an awesome shot that I had a poster of it when I was young, like up on my thing.
I should just put holes in the side of that, wear it over my face, and walk around. I don't want to scare the children like that.
And this I always thought was like a Happy Days type rad photo of you and Lori. It's like Joni and Chachi, but like your characters there.
Looks like we should be shot out of a cannon next or something.
So we know, like, we're honored to have you come to the first ever Atlantic City Celebrity Convention. And like Tim said earlier in the show, there's a lot of fans, your Rad Army, that are going to come out in full force to meet you in Atlantic City. So again, Bill, my final question of the night before we get your socials and everything is just give a little, you kind of said this a little bit earlier, but I still end all my podcasts like we're giving some words of wisdom to. There's a lot of filmmakers and actors and musicians that watch the show, and anybody who's trying to get into this crazy rough business. Just give some words of wisdom, whether good or bad, whatever it is you feel that you want to say from your soul to anybody who's watching that may want to is starting on this path or is even on it and they're still trying to chip away to get to have a little bit of success or the big success like George and Brad and whatever. So.
Yeah, success is being happy with your path. That's success. But I heard Chris Christopherson, who I'm a big fan of recently, he started out as a boxer as a young man. And he said one of his early fights, he quit. He was so scared. He just stopped boxing, which would be me probably, in some of these fights. And somebody came up to him and he pointed out, he said some of the Mexican boxers, and he's like, you see those guys, they never stop hitting, no matter how big their opponent is, they never stop swinging. And Chris said to himself, he's like, oh, I can be a success, thank you. And then he became Chris Christopherson. Why? Never stop swinging.
Yeah.
So that was it. It's just like consistency is everything, and if you've got that kind of fight in you, then you just never stop swinging, no matter what happens, no matter how big the opponent is, no matter how hungry you get or scared. I mean, the saying used to be feel your fear and do it anyway. How about be fearless? What's that like?
There you go.
That is great. Yeah. Speaking of fearless, I just remembered something when we were hanging out when we were shooting that movie years ago in Jersey. Did you delve into stand-up for a bit? Do I remember? Am I remembering that stand-up comedy?
Oh, I did a couple of sets, at the Comedy Store and the Improv, and it didn't go horrible. And that's unusual for your first time as a stand-up comic. And I just kind of got into this headspace of I don't want to be a road comic. I'd already been on the road as a musician. I want to be coming on to Madge at the Holiday Inn at 2 a.m. and just, oh man. And guess what? Nobody had offered any of that to me. It's just I had a couple of good gigs, and all of a sudden I had gone way past that, and nobody was asking me on the road for anything. That was
you were Bill Burr. You were just like, he's already in.
I turned down what was not being offered to me, and therefore stopped doing comedy.
That's fantastic. Fantastic. Do you want to get a socials, Tim? Oh my God.
I've got a fan page on Facebook, and my Insta is Bill Slim Allen, all one word, Bill Slim Allen.
Bill Slim Allen, yes. So everybody go check Bill Slim Allen. Also come out to the Atlantic City Celebrity Convention this July 25th to the 28th to meet Bill Slim Allen. And come out in droves, Rad Army, because Crew Jones himself will be in the house signing autographs and whatever you can bring, as long as it's legal. Can't bring anything illegal in to sign, but that's part of the criteria. But yeah, this summer come out and meet Bill Allen and a lot of the other amazing celebrities that'll be in the house. Bill, thank you so much for coming on tonight and honoring us with your presence. I look forward to shaking your hand again in AC this July. All right, have a good night. Everybody, Brantim Live, the great Bill Allen.
Peace out.
Peace out.